BORTLE here, back from the LCS 8 event of the online format. We have here Jay returning to the channel using virtual worlds. Alright, post Phantom Rage, because that's where this stuff came from. So, again, welcome back to the channel, and how'd you do at this event, man?
Hey, how's it going, Bordo? Hey guys, my name is Jib. I got top 16 at the LCS today playing Virtual World. It's a deck that me and a couple of friends have been talking about for months, and you see today it did incredibly well. I was very surprised that it took up so much of the top cut as it did. It did end up winning, and yeah, I piloted the deck today to a top 16 finish.
Nice. So, why'd you decide to play this deck, though?
So if you think about it, and if you've tested the deck, you would know that the deck has a very good matchup spread right now against a lot of the top meta decks from last format, like Dragon Link, Dinosaurs, and Infernoble, because of the deck's ability to make a VFD. Like, the deck is different than decks that made VFD traditionally in the past, like the Mermail deck, which threw its whole hand into a VFD, and then if it got hand trapped, then it couldn't do it. But this deck is able to make a VFD off of 2 cards and then back that up with hand traps and a recursive engine. So it's a very strong deck at the moment.
Very nice. Before we do the deck profile, would you like to do some shoutouts, man?
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to my team and sponsor, Team Playmakers. Shout out to Mike Thomas, Jack Reed, William Candina, Cheech, and Nick. You guys have been there for me, and you guys helped me test. I actually want to give a big shout out to Nick Petzold. He helped me basically build this deck. We built the deck together. He got really unlucky at the end of day one, but I kept it going. I finished fourth after Swiss with a 7-1 record.
Hey, that's pretty nice. Oh, and Nyx is a nice guy, too.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So, yeah, without further ado, would you like to take it over with your deck profile, man?
Yeah, so for the hand traps, we played 3 Ash and 3 Gamma. So going into this event, we figured a lot of the player base would be on Zodiac, and a lot of the hand traps from that were very popular last format, like Impermanence, Effect Veiler, are not very effective versus those decks, and decks like Prank Kids and the Mirror Match. So we cut Impermanence completely out of the list and decided to side Nibiru. We decided that a lot of people were going to be playing a lot of mid-range decks. So we didn't want to max out on 9 to 12 hand traps. We felt like these were the 6 most impactful hand traps that hit every deck, Ash being the most generic and then Gamma being the strongest. So we decided that these were the only hand traps that we wanted to play in the main deck to maximize consistency in this deck, because the deck does, if you have played it, has a consistency issue, and other players that play the deck will tell you that. So we didn't want to brick on hand traps. For the virtual world lineup, we played 3 Lily, 3 Lulu, 3 Lao, and 3 Gigi, and then 2 Nyan. So that's pretty standard, other than 2 Nyan. The main 4 are all extender monsters. They all summon themselves from your hand by sending a card from your deck to the graveyard. Then they all have different effects. Lily is a double foolish burial. Lulu is a Rhoda. She's the best. Lao Lao is a monster reborn, and Gigi is an end phase Scarm. So it's very important to max out on all of them, because they are your main engine in how you do your plays. 2 Nyan. So this is a very big debate between people that play the deck, 3 or 2. Obviously, it's a name, but it's the worst one, because in hand it basically does nothing. It basically acts as the deck's normal summon and an extender by summoning self back from the graveyard as a tuner. But that only really comes up when you're already playing. So instead of playing the 3rd Nyan this weekend, what I did, and basically no one else was doing, not even my testing partner Nick was doing, I played the 1 copy of Genex Ally Birdman. Yeah, that's a card, Blast from the Past. I really wish this card was at 3. This deck would be way better if this card was at 3. So basically, the theory behind this card is it helps the hands where you have to use your Lulu or your Gigi as your normal summon in order to start playing with your level 6s. So basically, the play is if you have to start off with the Lulu or the Gigi, you normal summon them, special summon another one out of your hand, and then you use Genex Ally Birdman to bounce your normal summon back to your hand, and then use it as an extender. So it allows you to get full value out of every virtual world special summon in hands that are awkward. And I felt that that was way more impactful than just having the 3rd name, because we already have enough names. We just need more extenders and more consistency. For the spells, I played one emergency teleport and one upstart goblin for the like power one ofs. Emergency teleport is a pretty good card, like you would think, but in the deck it really doesn't serve a purpose other than just being another virtual world name. None of the virtual world monsters really get effects by being special summoned from the deck off of emergency teleport. So you're basically just putting a name on board in order to trigger guys in your hand or like extend your plays. Upstart Goblin because we figure that with Dragon Link's fall in popularity to decks like Dinosaurs and the new decks from the new format that people would be preparing for, like Zodiac, we figure that Droll and Lockbird would see little to no play in this event, which I doubt that any of the top lists played any Droll and Lockbird. So we decided that it was safe in order to integrate Upstart Goblin back into the main deck. Triple Desires. As you see, we play three of pretty much all of the monsters. This deck has some consistency issues, so you want to max out on your possibility of drawing a good hand. Um, we played three copies of Kowloon City. This is the best spelling trap in the deck because basically what it does is it allows you to place the trap card or the continuous spell card from your deck face up to your field, which allows you to then be able to summon the monsters out of your hand by sending spells and traps and monsters. So it's very powerful because it allows you to have different utility against different matchups. Because the next card that we're about to go for, King Long, uh, is basically you banish it from the graveyard in order to Rhoda for a virtual world monster, then discard a card. But on the field, it has a very weird niche effect where it's basically impermanence. You're able to banish a virtual world card from the graveyard to negate a card on a monster on the field. So basically, in certain matchups, like in matchups against Shaddoll decks. So what you can do is you can activate City in order to put the spell face up into your spawn trapcar zone. You'll reveal a virtual world monster, and they usually chain their schism to summon a window. And then you can activate King Long in order to banish the Kowloon from your graveyard to negate the Window's effect. So this deck has a lot of like toolbox utility for different matchups that I felt would be really used in this event, and people would take advantage of people's ignorance about the deck and not knowing how to counter the deck in order to just like steamroll certain matchups. Um, Three copies of Foolish Burial of Goods and a copy of Metaphors Fusion. So this is a card that is some people love it, some people hate it. Basically, it's a fake foolish. It's a fake Rhoda in the sense that it allows you to send the continuous spell to the graveyard in order to get an immediate search. But then a lot of the combos rely on you searching off of the spell during the combo by sending it off of a virtual world. So if you have to start off with Foolish Burial of Goods, then you have to like change your combos in order to um allow you have to like change your combos to not have to use the continuous spell. Then I played one copy of Metaphors Fusion. So Nick's theory with getting me to play Metaphors Fusion was that basically is never a brick. If you have access to a King Long, you can just activate Foolish Barrel of Goods to send the Metaphors Fusion in order to draw a card. And if you draw it and send King Long to the graveyard by Date Escape or by Foolish Burial of Goods, it basically turns King Long into an engage. Because if you think about it, you're going to banish the King Long to get a search in order to discard the Metaphors Fusion, which is then going to shuffle itself back into the deck and allow you to draw another card. Yeah, it's insane. It came up a lot today, and like people were like, "Wow, you're playing Metaphors Fusion." Then I do that play, and then you're like, "Wow!" And then I was just basically telling people like, "Yo, it's kind of funny. It's like engage. Like I'm searching and then drawing a card." And then we're playing three Cheech. It's the only trap card in the deck at the moment. You have to max out on it because not that you ever are going to need three. It's that we're playing Desires in the deck, and also there is only one trap card at the moment, so you have to be able to recycle your engine and keep your engine going by sending trap cards. So you have to play three of it at the moment. That's it for the main deck. We played 40 cards. It was nothing I would change about this main deck. I think the main deck was perfect for the event. Um, Now to the extra deck. I played one copy of Cloud Castle, one copy of Crocosaur. These are and one copy of Shen Shen. These are the level 9 choices for the deck. Cloud Castle standard is needed for certain combos. Croc is also standard. It's just a generic level 9 that pops cards and also draws cards. And then Shinshin is the deck's boss monster. It's basically a recurring macrocosmos, which sounds like crazy, but like yeah, it basically is just a crazy card. It's just like a 2800 beater that just keeps on summoning itself back, and it's a macrocosmos on the field, which just like auto wins certain matchups. Like against Eldritch, like you don't even have to make VFD. This card just being on the field means that every time they use a Sanguine, or every time that they use like one of their continuous traps go from the field to the graveyard, it's all just getting banished. So it's very powerful in the Elvis matchup and against like the new deck Prank Kids, because all the Prank Kids have to trigger by sending from the field to the graveyard. And while this card's on the field, it basically is a Vanity's Emptiness. None of the Prank Kid monsters trigger. So for the level sixes, we played one Coral Dragon and one Stardust Charge Warrior. These are like stepping stones, depending on how you started. That they both draw a card, so they're just general advantage cards. Coral Dragon also has the added benefit of allowing you to pop a card, which comes up sometimes. And then we play the Archetype level 6, which is Beast Juju. Originally, I wasn't playing this card, but Nick convinced me to play it at the last moment. I only summoned it a couple of times, but I can see why it's really good. It actually won me my round 7 match against the Mirror. So basically, what I did is I just summoned it, and it says it cannot die by battle or card effect while you have 2 monsters with the same original type and attribute in the graveyard, but with different names. And that's like basically what the deck does. Like that's the whole deck. So I basically just summoned it in defense mode and passed, because in order to like gain advantage, and like it was so hard for him to out. Like he couldn't destroy it, and the trap can't destroy it either. So it's just a body that you just put on in defense mode, and a lot of decks like don't know what to do with it unless they like play like Unicorn, which that would suck, but like that didn't happen in that matchup. So I was able to just sit on it for a couple of turns, and I was able to come back and win the game. Then I played the Tzolk'in package, Crystal Wing and Ultimate Tzolk'in. There are certain combos in the deck where you're able to make this before you go into VFD and summon Crystal Wing as your 5th summon. It never really came up for me. I only summoned Tzolk'in twice the entire tournament. The first time it resolved, and it helped me win the game. And the second time I summoned Tzolk'in, and it just immediately got Nibiru'd. Like I wasn't able to summon it before my 5th summon. It was my 5th summon. It just got immediately Nibiru'd. So in the future, I talked to Tristan Pugh. He's someone else that like I talked to about the deck, and obviously he also got top 16. Him and other Disciples people, they did really great. Gabriel Nets ended up winning the tournament, so congrats to them. But I talked to him after the tournament, and he also played it, and we both kind of agreed that like after this tournament it wasn't really worth it, and that we'd play other things. I personally would play Constellar M7 in order to like add back cards and add back hand traps. And then a card that I was missing the entire weekend and would have helped me win my top 16 match is Vermilion Mech Dragon as like another level 9. Like that card is just so insane, and I don't know why I didn't play. I just felt like I wouldn't need it, but then it came up in top 16, and I lost because of it. But that card is insane, and M7 should definitely be in the deck instead of this package. For the Xyz monsters, I played for the 6s, we played Fen Fen and Utopia Beyond. Fen Fen is the themed level rank 6, and basically what it is, it's a mini Trishula. So you detach 2 to target a card on the field, and in either player's graveyard, and you banish them both. So it's just really good removal. It's really insane against Eldritch. Like you could just target a Lord and target a Sanguine that summoned the Lord in the graveyard, just banish them both, and then you would step up into Gaia Charger and attack. And then Utopia Beyond is our Dragoon out. So Utopia Beyond, his second effect is relevant, but his main effect is when it's summoned, it just pushes everything on the field to 0 that your opponent controls. So it just allows you to bait a Dragoon negate and then push it to 0 attack and then just beat over it. And sometimes you can OTK with the other monsters on your field if your opponent just leaves a bunch of things in attack mode. Gaia Charger is a card that allows you to step up from your 6s into a 7 and then attack with it and then summon the next card in the extra deck, which is AA Zeus. There's nothing I can say about this card. This was the card that everyone expected to be really good from the set. No one expected Datascapes to be good except for a couple people, but this card, we all know what this card does. It sends the whole field to the graveyard. in my round 2, I played against Prank Kids, and basically he did the full combo and he summoned Battle Butler, and I was able to negate Battle Butler. I attacked with a Fan. I made Gaia Charger. I made Zeus, and I sent like 9 cards on his side of the field to the graveyard, and he lost. It was really crazy. For the rank 3, the only rank 3 I decided to play for this tournament was Breaksword. I felt like it was the most impactful. It just allowed me to just destroy a card on the field and then battle and summon a Zeus and still have it have 2 material. Some people were playing Jaja as another way to out Dragoon. That's definitely a viable choice, and I wouldn't knock it. But for this event, I didn't expect many Dragoon decks. I feel like those are just like decks that you see in DB rated, but like I don't think a super like high level player would like go into an event with those type of decks. Like those decks are usually really inconsistent. So I decided not to play Jaja and just use Utopia Beyond as my main out to Dragoon. Um, for the rank 9s, I played the one, the only True King of All Calamities, aka VFD. This card's insane. Before the tournament, I was talking to people. I was like, yeah, the deck summons VFD, but you don't need VFD to win games. Like, I don't really summon VFD. I'd rather end on like the Fox in the Trap. But after this tournament, yeah, you really need VFD. I ended on VFD. I tried to end on VFD as many games as I could. Like every game, you just try to end on VFD. And if your opponent nibs you, you're supposed to play the second VFD and summon it with the Cloud Castle. But I didn't want to do that this weekend. We decided to play Enter Blafnir instead of the second VFD, which might have been a mistake. But basically, our theory was you would go into VFD and then you would use its effect on your turn, calling Light to force the Nibiru. And then you would Cloud Castle and summon Enter Blafnir and use its effect to rip another card out of your opponent's hand. So instead of going for the second VFD, we went for a hand rip. In retrospect, doesn't really make sense. Like we should just summon the second VFD and just like resolve it and win the game. Finally, for the side deck, one Pankratrops is the best going second card. Triple Nibiru, triple Token Collector, and double Lancia. So going into this event, I knew that some people were playing the Virtual World deck, so I wanted to side deck cards in respect of the deck. So we decided to side deck double Lancia for the deck, but also a lot of the regular hand traps also like cross check that deck in addition to a lot of the other meta decks. So the Nibirus, the Pink, and the Lancia were always going in against the mirror match. In addition to the Ashes and the Gammas, because those cards are just like the best hand traps against the deck. I saw some people were like playing Skullmeister and DD Crow, which I think that's might be like after this event, that might be like where the format is going, because people are obviously going to be more interested in the virtual world strategy and want to play it more. So people will definitely side heavier for the deck. Yeah, it was bound to happen. And then 3 Token Collector. This deck's hardest matchup is Infernoble Knight, weirdly enough. This deck, like people don't understand, like at this point at least, don't understand like what this deck is really weak to. And the truth is the deck is really weak to decks that are like rush down decks, or like decks like Infernoble and like Dragon Link usually, but more Infernoble, like decks that are like looking at your hand, ripping cards out your hand, interacting weirdly with hand traps, using talents to rip more cards out of your hand, and just summoning like big boards. So that's kind of what this deck is weak to. And Infernoble right now is the best deck at doing that. So I wanted to side the best hand trap against Infernoble. Like, and if you think about it, like any other hand trap, Infernoble can kind of play through, unless they don't draw optimally. But Token Collector is the only hand trap that Infernoble usually can't play through. For back row decks, we decided to side the one Harpies in Triple Twin. We decided that Lightning Storm wouldn't be good this format in respect for the Prank Kid deck, because if you know anything about Prank Kids, the fusion spell can only be used in the main phase. So if you play Lightning Storm instead of Twin Twisters or Cosmics, you Lightning Storm them, and they would just activate the spell and still summon the Battle Butler. And at that point, you're like really far behind. But Twin Twisters are a card that you can activate in the draw phase or the standby phase in order to snipe the continuous spell, the fusion spell, in order to basically stop them from playing on your turn. And it's also pretty effective against a lot of the trap decks. Like we didn't expect a lot of Altergeist, a lot of Guru. And if you looked at like the pie charts, those decks weren't very represented. Then the last 2 spots were the flex spots, and we decided to just like turn off our brains in games 2 and 3s, and we decided to play Imperial Order and Skill Drain. So funny enough, this deck can play under these cards perfectly. Like these cards don't affect the deck at all. Like if you watched any of my matches this weekend, I was like, I'm playing a combo deck and I'm skill draining myself. Like I don't care. Like it's insane. Like against in round 6 or 7, I played against my buddy Ryan Yu. Shout out to him. And game 2, he went into BORTLE to try to attack me directly, and I just flipped skill drain. And it was just like, why are you playing skill drain in a combo deck? But it doesn't matter because all my effects resolve in hand. And at that point, I'm just like controlling the game with the trap card and summoning back Shen Shen like infinite times, just like reviving a 2800 beater under skill drain and just beating you to death. And then Imperial Order is really good against decks like Zodiac. Is really good against the Mirror, like if they're not prepared for it. Like Imperial Order is only not good against the deck if they've already set up. Like at that point, I don't care about my spells, but like going into a board, like Imperial Order could really hurt the deck.
Oh man, sounds like you had some fun this weekend, dude.
This weekend was a ton of fun. Like the format has been really stale. I really hope that people that are watching this video will give this format a chance. This format might look like it's pretty much the last format, but Phantom Rage definitely spice it up. There's a lot of great decks that are available at the moment.
Oh yes, most definitely. And thank you again for being on the channel again, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
And
sub for
listen,
BORTLE, sub for BORTLE. Make sure to sub for BORTLE, guys.
oh god, yes, listeners, don't forget, if you're not a part of BORTLE Nation, sub for BORTLE. It's that easy and it's free. Oh god, yes. BORTLE out.